More than half of you are not subscribed to my channel. Subscribe!
Hello, my Lombards. Obviously, when you're trying to play MUGEN on an advanced level, you need a very good controller. One of those controllers will suit you. I will show an example of a few controllers and you decide for yourself whatever suits you more. The first one is a PS4 controller, a pretty normal one, basic one. Now, this one is good, although very expensive. The problem I have with this controller, first of all, not for all PCs, it a bit depends on your computer, but you will need to download a driver to make sure it works. And the second problem I have, now this is a personal preference, but these buttons, in my opinion, are very squishy. They're not as comfortable as, let's say, controllers that have clickiness to them. Now this is my opinion, this is a fine controller, but if you're, for example, trying to do very advanced type of stuff, it's not that good. The second controller is, if I'm not mistaken, this is called P3, which is this controller, and it comes in two versions, if I'm not mistaken, a wired one and wireless. This is a wireless one, but unfortunately you do need to connect a USB to the PC to make sure it works, because it's wireless for the PS3, but for some reason for the PC it will not work. This resembles the PlayStation controller very much, with the squishiness on these buttons, but I will say this is a better choice than the PS4 controller for the simple fact that it's way more cheaper, and in my personal opinion, these buttons click better. They don't have a long travel when you click on them. Same goes to these buttons. The travel is very low, unlike the PS4 controller, which makes it a bit better.
Yes, it is somewhat efficient, but unfortunately the inputs are still being missed. Not a good controller for MUGEN.
The next one, and this one I use the most, the Logitech F710. This is the best controller in my opinion, for the very simple fact that this is clicky. I don't know if you can hear this, but this is a very clicky controller, and the buttons are very strong. It's good because it doesn't have a huge travel, you press on them very quickly. With these buttons it's the same, it's very clickiness. Now, why is clickiness better in my opinion? Because it's faster. You can do a lot of stuff way faster than on squishy arrows, making this controller in my opinion way better. I use this the most frequently, obviously it's very comfortable and everything, and it's wireless. You have an antenna that you can connect to your PC and you can play this wirelessly, you don't need a wire. Makes it very well. It sits very well, the grip on your arms. It resembles the Xbox and at the same time the PS4 controller, which in my opinion is cool. It's like a combination between them two. I think this is probably the best option. It's cheap and it's extremely comfortable.
As you can see, with the Logitech controller, I never miss an input. Extremely efficient, extremely comfortable controller.
There is a cheap option as well. I will not showcase the gameplay of this one, but it's more or less the same. Small difference, but it's more or less the same. This is a cheaper option. It's wired, so yeah, this is a good pick as well. And then we have something that I bought recently, the Mixbox controller. This I feel like is the best option for MUGEN, considering the simple fact that if you play it on a keyboard and on a PC, then obviously this is very normal, this is very comfortable, you know exactly what you're getting. It's very clicky, it's very fast, there isn't a huge travel whatsoever. The buttons as well, they're extremely simple to click. They're extremely sensitive though. If you even hold your finger above the button, it can sometimes register the button. So you need to kind of get used to it, but obviously this is in my opinion the best option.
I don't think it should be a surprise that the Mixbox is capable of registering every single input that I am pressing. But what's also comfortable with it, you can never accidentally press on the wrong button. The buttons are huge, everything is just super comfortable. It's the most efficient way and the most fun way to play MUGEN.
As you can see, unfortunately, the squishiness is just not as good as clickiness. With clickiness you get way better inputs and it's way easier to not miss your inputs, unlike the squishiness, which unfortunately is just not as good in my opinion. Now, obviously, the Mixbox would easily win as the best controller for MUGEN, no doubt about it. You have 3 buttons that I use for the main attacks, A button, B and C for key blasts, and 3 of these if it's for ultimate transformation, depending on the character of course, this for charge, and this for basically whatever I want. I still don't have any use for it, but another button to use, why not? And what's comfortable with this as well is that on the side you have 3 buttons, which I personally use as this one as escape to go back, this one I use as enter, and we have buttons here as well. 4 buttons, one of them is pause, one of them is full screen, and another 2 that I still didn't find any point to them, but I can find something. Look how many buttons it has, it's such a great product. But obviously it's very expensive. I will still have, you can buy it in my description, but obviously it's extremely expensive. So the best option I would recommend is the wireless Logitech F710. This is the best controller for MUGEN, no doubt about it. Now obviously if you prefer something else, because in the end the question is what's comfortable to you. But if you would ask me, I would highly recommend this one as it's pretty cheap and it's wireless and it's just the best controller that you can get.